This week on the podcast, get over here and talk about MK1's release. Cheesy? Yes, I know, but you're gonna fucking like it anyways. We're gonna break down MK1, spoiler free, of course. Then we need to talk about this Unity situation and what it could mean for gamers. And, of course, we've got deals of the week, so stick around until the end. All of that and more in this week's episode of Next to Nothing. If I can find my intro button. There it is. Sorry, I'm a little rusty on my buttons and stuff like that. We haven't done the show in, what, 2 weeks now? We did the...
Something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, a podcast for gamers on a budget. I am your host, Danny K. With me, as always, the wonderful, the beautiful, the Mr. Green Elite Green. How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. I am newlywed. In the nice honeymoon phase. It's like rabbits in here, just living life,
That's awesome.
Only been together for 10 years. Yeah. in my mind, it was, we've been married for the last 5 years anyways. I pretty much call her my wife anyways, so yeah, might as well make it official. Woo!
Now the government's involved.
Yeah. Fun.
We're also joined by
a threesome.
No, it's a threesome. We're also joined by the spooky and the ookly, the Mendacii. How are you doing, Mendacii?
What up? We just had our 5th year anniversary, so we spent the weekend cooped up inside playing tons of video games, watching horror movies, and petting cats. Wow, yeah, lots of fun stuff. You should go check out the game Bramble. It's a nice short game on Game Pass. It's like horror based on like a Nordic folk tales. Came out in April, went completely under the radar. You should check that out if you're looking for something also spookly and ookly.
Hell yeah. Yeah. So thanks for watching and listening to the show. Be sure to stick around until the end of the show to hear about some awesome deals that we found for you this week. Of course, if you miss any part of the show, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are found. You can typically find us live on Twitch every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time over on the Next to Nothing Network Twitch channel. You can find us over there. I am kind of just tired of waiting. Do we want to go right into this Mortal Kombat conversation?
I agree.
Yeah, sure.
I agree.
So yeah, Mortal Kombat came out. Mendacii, you've got hands on the final release. Let's just kind of start with the gameplay itself. How does this game compare to previous Mortal Kombats for you?
Yeah, that's a pretty loaded question. This is going to be a fairly mixed review. But in turn, I think that you'll find that it is both spoiler-free and honest. Brutally so, if you will. Mortal Kombat 2 is like the first video game I ever played. Sub-Zero is my first, video game dude. And Mortal Kombat has, as they have been saying, is in my blood. I put in many hours over the weekend because we did have early access to it. It was not a painless launch, to say the least. But I'm here, not a fatality. I feel like you need this much cheese when you're talking about Mortal Kombat. But to get into the gameplay, the characters move a lot more like smoothly. There's a lot more speed and depth to combat. It feels more modern in that respect. I feel like in the previous titles, characters moved like kind of blocky, kind of slow. And like the combos were chunky, but like in a bad way. MKX, I think, did combos and combat really well. They felt a little bit lighter, but there was something still about the movement that just wasn't really there. MK1 is a step in the right direction as far as that goes. I would say as far as like how good combat feels, the king of that so far still is Street Fighter 6. So if you're a big Street Fighter 6 fan, you're going to feel weird when you go to play Mortal Kombat 1. Some characters definitely feel like they've got a lot more going on than others, but they feel coherent, they feel finished, and they have some pretty good core concepts. So, for instance, you have like Kenshi and Ashra. These are stance characters, meaning that after you put in, say, down back X or down back square, you're going to enter into a different stance. For Kenshi, it's Sento style. For Ashra, it's her darkness or dark style. And you know, they have a lot going on because they have stances. So like their move lists are gigantic. But you take like anyone else that doesn't have stances, right? Because you can just throw those two out the window. You take juggernauts like Reptile, Scorpion, Smoke, Shao, Cage, and you pit them against someone like Sub-Zero, Baraka, Havoc, Kung Lao, Raiden. You'll start to see some major gaps in like the character's respective toolboxes. Shao can grapple you. He's got ground pounds. He's got good pop-ups. He's got great combos. He just has a lot of utility in his box. Reptile is very fast. You can clear the ground part of the of your stage very quickly. He's also really great in the air. Scorpion is Scorpion. So you got the Nether Realm treatment for Scorpion, yeah. Except he's not Scorpion, which is something I'll touch on later. But like you play around with these characters and you'll start to see these major differences. Sub-Zero is good at what he does, but there's, I don't know, maybe like 18 entries in his, you know, toolbox for combos, for good neutrals, and he's got, you know, his like 5 special moves that you're familiar with: your ice ball, your ice slide, maybe like some sort of ground ice attack, so on and so forth. Ice clone as well. And of course, there are EX moves or, you know, enhanced super moves. So he just kind of feels flat. I haven't played my dude, my Sub EZ for a while. Played him a lot in MKX, didn't like him in MK11, was really hoping for a change in MK1. But I have decided between Lee May and my boy Reiko, which play very differently from my main of Kotal Khan, who is completely missing from this cast, though he does get a mention in the story at some point, just by name, and that's it. So you're going to see probably there's a high chance that if you had a cool favorite character from MKX or MK11, they might not be here. It's a much shorter roster, and the characters that they have chosen are very interesting. It is a very strange starter roster for a Mortal Kombat game. In fact, one of these characters is actually locked, Havoc, until you beat the story mode. So story mode is, I'm going to say it's around 6.5 hours as like a liberal estimate. There's over 4 hours of cutscenes, and they're good. It's good shit. It's good shit. It's very, very fun and interesting to play. I felt compelled to like continue through the story. We did it in, I think, 2 sittings, my fiance and I. And the story to me felt more coherent and cohesive than previous titles. And it follows more of the storylines of Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon, which was really cool. Deadly Alliance and Deception for me were huge parts of my childhood and early teen years on the GameCube. So being able to kind of go back and see some of these elements and these characters, obviously you've got Lee May, Ashra, Havoc, and more that come from that era. It's really cool to see them and be able to play them and have them look so damn good while they're doing combos. It feels really nice. But yeah, so like the story mode is definitely worth your time. There have been some gripes and grievances from other people. Some people say it's absolute shit. I had a great time. It is a little weird. It is a little weird here and there. I will tell you without any spoilers that there were some strange narrative choices, some strange character choices that Liu Kang, being, you know, the new creator of the timeline, keep in mind, he made these decisions. He did this on purpose. Like, what the hell? For instance, there is no Sonya Blade. There is no Jax Briggs. They are there as cameo characters from their MK1, MK2 respective characters. And so that means that Johnny Cage does not meet Sonya, and therefore Cassie Cage does not exist. So for some reason, Liu Kang has something out against Cassie Cage, I guess, because she just Marty McFly that shit.
She did kill an elder god, and if you were an elder god,
that's
you
true.
You might not want.
Fair.
Yeah. Because of Johnny Cage's bloodline back to the ancient Mediterranean warriors bred to kill gods. Anyway, so you got none of that wild shit. There's more new wild shit for you to deal with. There's a lot of aha moments as you see things that have transpired in previous games. Like you see how that comes to be. Some things you can't escape, more or less. Like there's some things that are written even deeper within the sands of time that a titan like Liu Kang can't change. So there's some pretty cool stuff there. Story is great. If you like the solo play stuff, story is so worth it. Moving on to other facets, but before I do so, do you guys have any questions so far about like gameplay balance and story?
How playable has the story been so far? I guess, like, is it something that you like drunk up pretty quick, like right off the rip, or like what's
Yes,
the standing on that?
I went in, I went ahead and I did a tower. I did a couple towers, just the regular arcade towers, just to get a feel for the game. And then we immediately jumped into the story. It is what my fiance and I were probably the most excited about. It sounds hilarious. I want to play Mortal Kombat for the story. But it is really good. It is really good. It was very cool to see characters that are usually cast as bad guys be good guys, or even just like morally gray. So many characters had much more depth in them, and it was very, very interesting to see. From the trailers, we already know that like Johnny Cage and company hang out and seemingly make friends with Reptile, so that's not going to be a spoiler. Reptile is a goodest boy. He's the goodest boy, and it's really cool to see him have that kind of not just like a physical kind of like looking glow up, but just like personality and depth of the character. There's that in spades across the entire story. Something very important to note as well: you do not get extra things for playing on harder difficulties. So if you are not good at, say, fighting an omnipotent AI, and very hard is just way too hard, even medium being too hard, throw it down to easy or very easy. The AI probably won't do much, and it'll be kind of like kicking a sandbag, but you'll get just the same amount of things, rewards, as anyone else who played on any other difficulty. So it is complete player preference. It's there for you to enjoy and take in. So that's definitely worth your time. And I think honestly, the payoff for the story was really good. And it does end. This is actually a good thing that you asked me this question, Green, because I was totally going to skip over it. It does end with an after the credits scene that points directly to us getting more story DLC, much like they did in MK11 with Aftermath and Shang Tsung coming out and being like, "What's up? I'm a piece of shit." But this looks a little bit more interesting, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But there's no timeline on that. The game just came out, so I don't know. Give it 6 months. So yeah.
Didn't you already announce like the first DLC pack? I believe it's like Quan Chi and
Quan Chi,
Homelander and Peacemaker.
Yeah, it's Quan Chi, Ermac, Homelander, Omni-Man, Peacemaker, and I believe it was Takeda Takahashi. Takahashi is, I think his name was Takeda, but that is canonically from MKX, would be Kenchi's son, who was then given as a student to Scorpion at the newly founded or refounded Shirai Ryu to learn how to do combat. He was one of the combat kids from MKX. So he uses bladed whips. He was very, very cool, very popular character from MKX. So it's cool to see them bring him back in. But yeah, that combat pack, I'm not entirely certain when they're going to drop that, but if it's like previous titles, it might not be every character at the same time. Yeah, I can't go into more because of spoilers, but it can't be too far away. I believe that a lot of the work that, you know, needs to be done to these characters, I think a lot of that has already been done. But yeah, that is the first like chunk of DLC that we should see, and that doesn't include, say, like anything else that they might throw in, whether that's more brutalities, more accessories, palette colors for your characters, all sorts of other stuff. So it's not just fighters. So yeah, definitely keep a lookout for that. That's a good
Did
question.
have one other question.
Yeah, what's up?
What system did you buy it on, or did you get it on PC as well, or is it just Xbox? And then the follow up. The reason I
I
ask,
bought it on Xbox.
the
Yeah.
reason I asked the follow up question for that is is it required keyboard or is it required controller, or is there playability for a keyboard mouse? I guess is the biggest question. It's like,
Yeah.
if I get it, I'm definitely gonna get it on PC because I'm not gonna buy a console just to play it, and I'm definitely not
Yeah.
playing it on Switch because yikes. So
We've all seen that. Yeah, it should go without mention, but I will mention, don't buy this on the Switch. Absolutely do not waste $70 on this game on the Switch. Don't do that.
yeah,
I'm actually gonna
I
show.
had this on the X. Oh, the gameplay.
Yeah, I'm gonna show the Switch gameplay right now on screen, so people can know why we are saying not to. The previous footage in this episode was from, I believe, PS4, or I'm sorry, not PS4, PS5,
Okay.
maybe. Yeah, PS5,
Okay.
4K, 60 FPS. This is from the Switch. So previous video is from
Okay.
a PS5. This is from the Switch, just for comparison's sake. It's not good.
it's
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
chop to it too. On top of that, like not just the graphics, like some of the hits, like you miss like an actual like a good
Drop your
5 or 6
combo and shit.
frames. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Oh
like
yeah,
a good 5 or
not
6
great.
frames before between the swing and like the hit on some spots, especially in aerials. Oh yeah. Gross.
Yeah. Actually, I'll go ahead and take part of my segment out and put it here. One of the reasons why this may have been okay for them is I don't think NetherRealm Studios has looked at Mortal Kombat as a game where people play online against each other in a competitive atmosphere for some time. I think that they look at this game series as a whole as more of a game that you buy and play on your couch with your friends, or perhaps you just play solo, you know, a la the Towers of Time, your regular arcade towers, and of course the story mode. The single player stuff is really fleshed out in these titles, but they've never done a whole lot as far as online play and online stability goes. That much remains true in MK1. If you are into the competitive fighting game scene, you're going to be playing this at locals, not really online. If you do play online, do so at your own, you know, Sandy's risk, or, you know, whatever. It's not stable. It kind of sucks. And it was never really my connection, which was wired and a high speed connection, or any of my opponents. There was always some sort of server connection error or massive load times. And when you start a match, it would load in, but then there would be a server disruption. You guys would get kicked out. The match is gone. You're back into the search pool. It fucking blew ass. So, you know, like, listen to that. That's that. As far as playing on Xbox One X, to kind of tress up that little note there, it played phenomenal on the X. I didn't really have any issues there. There are some bugs, but those are bugs, not performance issues. Namely, in Shang Tsung's laboratory map, a lot of the items in that map are individual items, so they are individually placed, which means that they also have their own individual physics. So sometimes you will load in and, like you've probably seen in Fallout, items will fall and drop onto a desk once you load in or something like that. So there's a massive like bird-like skull that rests on a desk. And sometimes that will have rolled off of the desk and is now tangled up in the feet of the fighter opposite of you or whoever is standing in the player 2 position. It doesn't do anything to you because it's, it doesn't act on you or anything like that. It doesn't have a hit or hurt box, but it just kind of spazzes out and then kind of flies away. And that's fun. But otherwise, like I didn't have any issues with that. I am also an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate user, so I was able to stream from my Xbox up to my PC, like all wired connection. So I had very very little response time lag, anything like that. And so when I wasn't gaming downstairs with my fiance, I was playing upstairs on my PC with a PlayStation controller, this neat little guy right here, and it worked just fine. So I had no issues. I know that as far as keyboard and mouse, I've seen some people say that some of the different control configs have not worked out very well. I know that a lot of people playing on Fight Stick weren't able to use something called a talisman, which I'll get into a little bit later during invasions mode because it requires you to flick your right stick, which, makes a lot of sense when you're looking at a controller. But again, fight sticks are typically something that someone who plays fighting games competitively or at least fervently would have and would want to use with a fighting game. So again, NetherRealm Studios isn't really thinking about that audience, which is kind of funny considering the fact that they're a fighting game company first and foremost. So not really sure what's going on there. There are a few different missing UI elements. You cannot tag combos, so it's very hard for you to continue to learn combos. You kind of have to go back and forth, which really sucks in story mode, where you have maybe about 3 or 4 fights with a character. Maybe you're playing as Raiden, and then the next chapter is someone else entirely. So now you're like, well, Jesus, I don't know how to play this character. And then you sit there and you stare at the move list, trying to memorize, like, okay, is it hold forward XAB, hold forward XYB, BAB, whatever it is, and just try to commit as much of that to memory as possible before continuing on. That is frustrating. Which another reason why, unless you are the god of Mortal Kombat and you can just play any character, never having touched them, looked at them, whatever, and have no options or no problems without those options, I would recommend you just kind of play story, play invasions at your own pace. And hopefully with this day one patch, they've actually looked at that, which I have not had the chance to look at, like everything that they've done. They said that they were going to come in and do some UI changes, but we'll just have to see there. Currently, there are four different kinds of currency in this game. There's premium currency, which is dollars to dragon essence or something. I don't know. You use it specifically to buy accessories and aesthetics for your characters. Then there's shrine currency or dragon coins. These are gold Mortal Kombat dragon coins. They're kind of rare, but every time you get 1,000, you bring them over to a shrine and a dragon has to load, and then an animation plays where fire comes out of its mouth, it melts down the coins, and then it has a little ball show up that looks like the engram, like an engram from Destiny, and it breaks open, and then another loading screen happens, and then you find out you got fucking concept art or something. You can only do this in 1,000 coin measurements, meaning that if you had 10,000 coins, you would have to sit through this animation and these loading screens 10 times. There are no other uses for these currencies because there are not chests in a crypt for you to unlock. That is what invasions mode is for. That is also what something called character mastery is for. The shrine can unlock other accessories and aesthetics, as well as obviously concept art and all that junk. basically aside from character mastery. You're not going to get the same things that you would in character mastery using the Dragon Shrine, which means that if you really want to have the chance to find something cool for your main character, you're going to have to use this Dragon Shrine. So something definitely needs to get done about that horrid way of getting loot. It's just like a grind. May as well just pull up TappyToon, Webtoon, YouTube, whatever, and just sit there and read or watch while you're spending your coins. So moving on from there, again, the story, I'm like just going through my notes here. Story was fine. A couple weird things that they didn't really need to change that they decided to anyway, and I don't think that it actually did anything to it. It kind of felt slightly like some things were taken away from because of that, but overall, that's all of the gameplay, all the accessibility, UI options, and stuff like that that I had a problem with or thought was cool. And they are supposed to be addressing a lot of that in the upcoming patches. So now I want to talk about invasions. Invasions is where all of my gripes come from. So for those that don't know what this is, I watched like all the dev diaries, the combat cast, so on and so forth. And I was kind of excited for this. It looked like Mortal Kombat meets like Mario Party slash like a very, very simple, vague RPG set of elements. So in Invasions mode, it's seasonal. Everything's free, but every season, which is about 60 days, and then a week break, and then a new season would come in for 60 days. You have a storyline, an overarching storyline. The first season is Season of the Spectre, which follows a scorpion from another dimension or timeline who is hell-bent on finding Harumi, his wife, who was killed, some of the Quan Chi Sub-Zero things. He wants to find a dimension in which Harumi is alive. And he can't find one. Every time he goes to a dimension, she's dead. And then he finds this dimension and things. She's here. And he's like, I need this. And that's your storyline for Invasions. You need to go in and stop him and all of the other bad dudes from his dimension from wreaking havoc on this timeline, this dimension. So you're going to battle through what are called mesas. And these are just board games. Like they're different board levels. The first one you start out in is Fengjian Village, which is the beginning area that Raiden and Kung Lao start in. So it's very much so like rural, pretty China, and you're walking on spaces. So you have an open circle, you beat a fight, and then it shows you a green line, which is a path that you can follow. You move your character that way, you land on the next space, you do a fight. While you're doing these fights, you're clearing paths, essentially, on the board game. There will be things like maybe a hidden path, but it'll give you a clue, such as like, destroy the world. And you'll be like, well, what does that mean? And then it's kind of up to you to either, use some Google foo or remember or realize Cyrax as a cameo has a fatality in which he blows up the entire world. And if you use that cameo fatality, it will clear up on a path and you'll get to a secret chest. And there's chests like this all over the map, some of them secret, some of them you just literally have to fight your way to. And they'll have aesthetics and items that you can use in Invasions mode. All of the items such as consumables, talismans, relics, things like that, I'm not going to get too into because it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, pretty much everything in Invasions doesn't matter. Talismans are weak and dumb. They don't really do much. There's a specific type of talisman that will give you super armor, and you can just walk through every attack, every stage bullshit that they've got going on, and just punch. Every enemy in Invasions also has super armor, so that means that they can't be interrupted when they're doing combos or they're doing a super move. They will highlight blue when they're in a sort of like moment of recovery or vulnerability, and you can punch them then. This is terrible. This is god awful. Every single character that you will fight in invasions mode has super armor. Every single one of them. Some of them have like literal super armor, as in when they're walking, when they're not doing anything, you can do no damage to them. You have to wait it out. There are some stage modifiers, such as like the ground is on fire. So literally while you're standing, you're just on fire. There's nothing you can do about this. Or there's a smoke fog kind of hanging over the stage. And periodically, every about 3 to 5 seconds, you or your opponent will just start coughing. And just start coughing incessantly, which will stop you from completing combos, completing special moves, or grappling. And it works both in your favor and against you. Because if your opponent was grappling you or doing a combo to you, they will begin coughing and drop said combo or grapple. It's annoying. It's dumb. It's not fun. There's even one that is a bright white light that just fills your screen. Blinding white light. So that you are truly blind.
Flashbang.
And cannot fight. Yeah, but it just stays there. It just stays there. It's god awful. There's chaos element that you might remember from the towers in MK11. Oh, it reverses your directions. Whoa, that's crazy. This literally remaps all of your buttons. Triangle is now walk backwards. Circle is now guard. And X might call out your cameo. That sucks.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Especially when it's fucking awful. Yeah, especially when it's a character that has so much health and so much defense that they're basically already a damage sponge. So you're standing all the way back and you're just spamming out projectiles. Like, just please get this over with. Please get this over with. There are some fights that will, even if you are just hammering it home, will take you 3 minutes of just punching in combos, punching in supers, everything like that, dude. The entire time I played Invasions mode, my health never got low enough to do a fatal blow or X-ray attack, whatever you want to refer to it as. But it's when you pull both triggers, my health never got to that point. And it's not because I'm super good at the game. This is not a boast. The fights are literally the same characters over and over and over and over and over and over. With different palette swaps. Sometimes a stage will have a different modifier, but overall, it's like, well, there's Kenshi. Oh, there's Kenshi, but he's blue, and like the differences here are maybe they have more health, maybe they have less health, maybe they have more attack, maybe they have more defense. That's it. I compare this directly to Street Fighter 6's World Tour mode, where you are fighting completely unique characters most of the time, who have a myriad of different attacks from different fighters. Now, I won't describe how or why, but Mortal Kombat 1 already proves in its gameplay that they have the ability to do that. And again, I can't go into why because I don't want to spoil anything, but they fucking could have. They could have done that. Which would have made things really interesting. Imagine fighting Sindel, but she has the ability to go invisible like Reptile and sprint at you super fast. That's scary. That's terrifying. But imagine fighting Sindel, just normal ass Sindel, in all the colors of the rainbow, say 6, 7, 8 times in one map. And one time it took you 3 minutes to beat her because she just had 5,500 health, and every time you punch, you do 20 damage. Like, it's insane. So that's a lot of what Invasions is. They have items like talismans, which are you flick the right stick and something happens, which can go anywhere from giving you super armor to launching a saw blade at the enemy. I have one that literally lets out a fart cloud and it just melts the enemy in like 2 seconds, which thank hell for that, because I was done with this mode by the time that I reached the end. I don't think that it had anything to do with doing it super fast or, long sessions. I think that it was purely because of the lack of substance here. Now, keep in mind all the costumes and all the items that you get, these will change every season, which is cool, because this season every single costume and palette design for any character that you get is some variation of ketchup red, mustard yellow, desert yellow, and black. Some of them are covered in weird tattoos. Some of them look great. Others look dumb. And that's all of the characters. I played specifically Lee May during this whole thing. All of the season, I think seasonal mode took 8.5 hours of in-match time. That means the announcer yelled fight, and from that moment going in, all of those rounds, all those matches added up to 8.5 hours. So Lee May, 8.5 hours. I have no idea how much time I spent actually walking around the board, navigating to these various spaces, anything like that. There was basically no reason to continue doing a lot of these fights. And you would unlock secret fights. I don't know how I did. Maybe it was doing a brutality, maybe it was doing a fatality, or something else. And they don't feel secret. They feel extra. They feel more like another waste of time. However, if you beat these people, what I found with a brutality or fatality, you might end up with an extra item, which hopefully it's actually a consumable item of some sort of consequence, some sort of substance, because most items are useful. And of course, it just prolongs the amount of time that you have to go and play through like these boring fights. They really do like wear and grind on you. I think by the third map, I was very done. And the hidden fights, they just don't have that luster. It doesn't feel like a hidden fight. There's also nothing different about them. It's just there's Blue Kenshi again. Like you will fight the same people in secret fights over and over again. It's boring. But it is a must if you want to raise your character's mastery level. And what that means is the more time that you put into one character, they get EXP. Kind of taking me back to Exoprimal, which I kind of shat on that game for this too. It's a cool concept. A character maxes out a level at 35. At various levels, you'll unlock new costumes, new brutalities, new like cosmetic items, which there is a third of cosmetic items in MK1 than there was in MK11. And at level 14, you'll be able to see how to do their second fatality. But keep in mind that you could just do their second fatality if you input the buttons at the right distance. So it doesn't actually really unlock anything. After 8.5 hours of match time, I got through 880 matches. These are my stats for so far this season with Lee May only. 880 matches, 94 flawless rounds, 44 towers completed, 274 fatalities, 352 brutalities, 29 cameo fatalities, and 18 cameo brutalities. It's a lot of fights, all with Lee May. And she is currently level 23 out of 35. I feel like that's very slow.
I agree with that, yeah.
I just want to, 880 matches. 880 matches. I think also I didn't put it in here. I think that I lost 80, 89, something like that, roughly about 10% of the matches out of 880 I think I lost. So the thing is that I wanted to play someone else. I wanted to play another character, but then I had FOMO because it already takes so long to get a character to reach their mastery level of 35. I wanted to play Reiko, but I was like, that's EXP that I could be getting for Lee May. I could just finish her, and once I'm done with her, then I can focus on Reiko. And that probably sounds stupid. That's probably some mind goblins shit, but I don't know. I couldn't really fathom just prolonging the likely 700 more matches because you get less EXP as you level up that I'm going to need in order to get Lee May to her mastery. So I would love to see them rebalance that. before I go into my conclusion, do you guys have any questions about Invasions mode?
No.
Sounds like
me.
a mess.
It's a mess. Yeah. It definitely was presented as a very unique and interesting idea, and I was very excited about it. But I think that what we were sold is different than what we got. So, in conclusion, wrapping up my lengthy review on MK1, it seems like most people who've been playing during the early access feel like this game needed about 6 more months in the oven. And even though I was so hyped, I was so ready for this release, I kind of agree. There are plenty of areas where it feels great, looks great, plays great, but there are so many other things that need additional passes. There's a general balance that should probably have been there from the get-go, rather than being like, oh, they'll cover it up in a patch. It's like, yeah, but why was that there in the first place? Why did you miss that? That's goofy. There's just a lot of room to grow, however. And you look at where MKX and where MK11 ended at the end of their life cycles, and it's easy to see that they're likely going to do something quite similar to those with MK1. So I do have faith that it will get there, but we're still going to have to wait. And it's already out. So if you're playing it and you're not having a great time, guess what? You're playing and not having a great time. That's not exactly the intended projection that a game should have, especially when we're in the era in which a game is $70. So take all of that and also ask yourself, are you looking for a fighting game that you want to play on the couch with your friends, or perhaps alone, doing challenge towers, doing solo stuff like the story or invasion mode, and you're okay with some of that jank here and there? Then yeah, I mean, like, I recommend it. However, keep in mind, there are systems that you shouldn't be buying this on. There are all of those flaws. They're present. Just because they were present for me doesn't mean that they won't be present for you. And some of this is measured up to opinion. But put all that in, ask yourself if that's worth $70. To me, I say it is to a specific person. I would say if you're an avid MK fan, then, I recommend this to you. But I think that a lot of those people already bought this, probably spent the money just to get it early. I don't know, you're welcome for being your guinea pig, I guess. That's another thing that we should probably look at too. And that's a debate for another day. But these kind of premium access things, you're really just a guinea pig for the day one patch. So all of that suffering that I went through, I hope that if you do end up getting this game, that it plays great for you, and that at least some of my grievances aren't there presently. So otherwise, if you're on the other side of the fence, wait for it to be on Game Pass, because it's not. It probably won't be for another year, or you can wait for a sale maybe this December, or just go buy it used. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's got all the elements of the previous games, albeit in a slightly different flavor, and it is an acquired taste.
Right. I think you hit pretty much everything I was going to ask you about.
Awesome.
Really
Yeah,
same.
it really does feel like this is not a game for someone like me. Right now, it might be a sale game. So if you're someone who tends to agree with me on something on games, that's probably your answer on this. Anything else, or do we want to go on talking about Unity?
Get it.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Unity makes an oopsie
One
doopsie.
devil for another.
Yeah, big ol' oopsie doopsie. So last week, while we were on break, because of course, the company behind the incredibly popular game engine Unity announced their plans to restructure the cost of using Unity. And it didn't go well at all. The new scheme, and I'm using that word intentionally, which would have been implemented on January 1st of 2024, was going to be built on a pay per install fee that was scaled based on the developer's license. Let me say that again to make it clear. Pay per install fee. The fee for free users was as high as 20 cents per install if that developer had earned more than 200K or went over 200,000 installs of their game. Right? So 20 cents per install if you made more than $2,000 or $200,000 or got 200,000 installs of your game. The outrage was swift and immediate. Pretty much everyone sounded off on this being a horrible deal for independent developers. Some of the response, I mean, we saw some people, was critical. We saw Asmongold commenting on this. In terms of actual developers, the team behind Cult of the Lamb even threatened to delete their game from the storefront or from storefronts starting on January 1st to protest this poorly thought out scam. There was also a credible death threat made to Unity employees, which was apparently made by a Unity employee over the new policy. And they had to close their offices last Friday. And I just want to say, don't do that. That's not fucking cool. Don't make death threats. Okay? That's not good. But really, much of the anger seemed to stem not only around the price structure, but the ambiguity of how this fee would be applied. So some of the questions people had, because Unity didn't really communicate this to customers, is did all installs count? If I personally buy a game for $20 on PC, then install it on my desktop, laptop, and then hypothetical Steam Deck, would the developer be charged 60 cents total for my $20 purchase? Who would fit the bill if your game was on Game Pass and all 25 million users installed your game? Who foots that bill? The independent developer or Microsoft? What about malicious actors who could install and uninstall your game from a bank of machines just to fuck you over because they don't like you? That's highly possible. And then, of course, here's another thing to kind of think about, is that this hurts small developers, not big developers like Nintendo, miHoYo, or ActiBliz, because the enterprise level developers would maybe still be paying a fee, but the fee was a fraction of the cost for those developers at that scale, and they have massive legal teams who would probably be able to redline this. So those are just some of the, ambiguity surrounding the whole thing. But I also want to take a quick dive because Unity is available for mobile developers. And there's more implications for mobile developers than there are PC or console developers in this situation. So, first, let's remember that mobile developers have to pay 30% in payment processing fees on the App Store for iOS and Google. A practice which basically holds up the entire ecosystem, as bigger companies don't actually pay that fee because of lawyers, right? So, if you're a mobile developer, you have to account for a 30% potential revenue just being out of the way. So let's add an additional 20 cents per install. So the quick math, if you're selling your game on the mobile store for $1, that is 50% of your revenue gone in fees alone. And just add even more chaos into the calculations, it wasn't even clear if it counted as unique installs or total installs. So devs didn't even know if they would be charged if someone uninstalled a game off of their phone to make room for a movie and then reinstalled it later. What do you do about that? So that's a lot of the ambiguity. That is really the structure, and it feels like we're talking about this a little on the late side because Unity is pretty much walking back their whole thing right now. Their CEO, who we've talked about before on the show when Unity acquired Iron Source, pretty much said this, quote, "I don't think there's any version of this that would have gone down a whole lot differently than what happened. I think we could have done a lot of things a lot better." So basically he said nothing. And then I also want to point out that he mysteriously sold off a bunch of stock before making the announcement. Strange, odd behavior. That's a real fortuitous stroke of luck he had financially. Mendacii, in our group chat earlier, you actually posted another story, and I was kind of hoping you could fill us in on that other update.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
for quick.
Yeah, John Riccitello, I just want to say, definitely looks like if you painted a Ninja Turtle, like skin tone white, he just looks like a human Ninja Turtle, which is really fucked up to look at, honestly. So I feel like him and Bobby Kotick, I feel like they could start some sort of like league of video game villains. Like there's this Legion of Doom that they could both head. But the story that I had actually shared actually goes into them walking it back. So David Helgeson, who was the former CEO of Unity, this was back in 2014, he stepped down, and then Riccitello came in and proceeded to run the company. So David Helgeson actually made a public statement saying, quote, "We fucked up." So basically trying to change that policy and all of that, yada, yada. He was coming out and trying to be very forward, probably because, like back in 2015, we had the whole thing with Iron Source. So if you don't remember that, definitely do some Google foo, go check it out. But basically, we were getting malware ad bullshit from Iron Source and some Bing garbage ad bullshit. Yeah, long story short, basically, organizers announced today that the boycott that they're now doing against Unity has grown to more than 424 companies. And let's see here. An attorney also noted the price increase would likely catch the attention of the European antitrust regulators. So as soon as they realize, like, oh yeah, you can't just retroactively do something like this legally, they decided to come forward. Now, things like this, not one person goes in to make the decision and it happens. So this was collectively okayed by at least a majority vote by the board over at Unity. Helgeson's full, response is, "We fucked up on many levels. No other way to put it. A new business model for Unity was announced in a way that was hard to understand, but it also missed a bunch of important corner cases, and in central ways ended up as the opposite of what it was supposed to be. Now to try again and try harder. I am provisionally optimistic about the progress. Sorry about this mess." So what it likely will be is big apology for big dumb stinky mess, and we will now walk it back to a slightly less dumb stinky mess, and you'll be okay with that because it's not the dumb stinky mess that we tried to serve you.
Yeah, it's like I definitely feel like they're definitely going to try to pull some other bullshit after this, almost like this was a Trojan horse of sorts.
He was very stinky.
But hey, free advertising for things like Godot,
right?
Go check that shit out. And maybe just do the upfront cost of Unreal, I guess. But I don't know. It really, really sucks considering the fact that Unity kind of always seemed like it was the choice for small-time indie developers that weren't really like looking at huge projected sales. And Vic in chat does say that Unreal is free, so I'll have to double check on that. But yeah, it's one of those things where it was very lucrative for indie devs as well as attractive as a platform to actually create your game. So really shitty to see them go this route.
Yeah. Yeah, I will keep up on this. Green, did you have any other thoughts that you wanted to express there?
Just smelled real stinky. The stinkiest.
I appreciate that valuable input there.
Hey, this is what I do. You know, I do this as a hobby and a profession. Okay. Stinky. If I say it's stinky, that means it's stanky.
Fucking pee pee
It's
poo
true.
poo.
Yeah, also Unreal is free to use for creating linear content, custom projects, and internal projects. And it's also free to get started for some game development. A 5% royalty kicks in only when your title earns over $1 million. So again, it's one of those things where why use Unity?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're gonna learn that real fucking quick. Do we want to go on to deals of the week?
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm starving.
Ooh, yeah, food sounds good.
Yeah, let's wrap up the show here with some deals of the week. I've got something. It's kind of related here. It is the game programming C++ in Unreal by Pact on Humble Bundle. So if you are a developer, an aspiring developer, and you want to get out of this Unity sphere of influence, you can learn some new skills and discover some new tricks. That's over on Humble Bundle, which we are affiliates of. So keep that in mind. It helps support the show if you use our link. Mendacii, what you got?
Mine is really simple, and it is kind of a cheapo way out. But if you're a Game Pass user, hey, big reminder, Lies of P dropped, and it kind of fucking rules. I'd love to talk about that more later. But so far, it's very fun, and it is very, very pretty. And you basically are Timothy Chalamet in a strange vaudevillian nightmare, and really interesting. Just a really good, fun time. So if you have Game Pass, grab that for free. At least try it out. I don't think you'll regret it.
Hell yeah. What do you got, Green?
Well, on Steam right now, there is a nice little sale going on for Deep Rock Galactic. Who doesn't want to be a space gnome, or no, sorry, space dwarf mining for stuff? Space dwarf. But it's a 67% off right now. Normally the game is $29.99. You can get it for $9.89. And that runs until September 30th. That is on Steam. So check that out. It's a 1 to 4 player co-op, FPS, mining and doing all the good stuff and fighting aliens. So
Drinking beer.
Hell yeah.
Probably gonna skip this up as well. So if anyone wants to play with me.
All right, I think that's the whole show. I think it's the whole show, right? We don't have anything else to talk about. Any other rants that we need to go on?
Just against the government, man. In general, not for any particular reason, but just in general.
So I think that's a different show. But
God damn it, Danny.
God damn it. That's the whole show. Thanks for watching and listening. Your time and attention is always appreciated. If you've made it this far, be sure to drop us a like and subscribe. That's always appreciated.
I'm gonna try it all up.
Yes, drop us a like. God damn it. Yeah. Don't forget to do the things. Hit the bell. You broke my brain. Let us know what you think about everything that we talked about today, especially if you played MK1. If you played MK1 on the Switch, tell us how terrible it is in the comments. We'd love to actually hear about anyone who played that. Yeah. Otherwise, until next week, stay safe, stay healthy, keep fighting those good fights, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye.
I love you.